Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play Team. This actual play uses the Blades in the Dark rules by Evil Hat Productions. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. Our Duskvol is intended for adults, and so listeners should pay close attention to all listed content warnings. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. And now, on to the heist.
Welcome back to another episode of the Old Ways podcast, where today we will be playing Blades in the Dark, a game about a crew of daring scoundrels seeking their fortune on the haunted streets of an industrial fantasy city. But we actually don't have any scoundrels available to us yet, because we are going to be making our scoundrels here with you, coming up with them. That's right, we're going through character creation. We're going to be doing it as a group. But before we get started with that, why don't we go around and introduce the players that we have at the table today. To my right.
Hi, this is John. I am looking forward to being a scoundrel. It'll be a nice change of pace.
I'm sure it'll be a real stretch for you, John.
It's going to be real hard, but I think I can pull it off.
To John's right.
Hi, this is Jake, and I am going to do terrible things in the dark.
Rather than the light of day. At the end of the table.
This is Lonnie, and I am surrounded by scoundrels. Please send help.
Well, I don't know if that's too far out of normal. To my left.
Hello there. My name is Mare, and I've never been bad or wrong a day in my life, so this will be fun.
Believable. She has a very believable face, people. To Mare's left.
Yeah, my name is Mike, and I'm here to sort of just slide in and slide out, and then, get on with my day.
So the first step in character creation, if you're following along at home and you maybe never made a character before, or just interested in how it goes for Blades in the Dark, the first step is for our players to choose a playbook. And they've already had a chance to kind of look over them and the different types of characters they are. So we'll just go around in table order for each one of these questions and kind of describe or just state what we're choosing. And then at the end, we will summarize who we are each playing. So why don't we go around in the same order and let everyone know what playbook you have chosen. We'll start with John.
Yeah, I've chosen the Hound, who is described as a deadly sharpshooter and tracker. I just really like the idea of the class because it's about finding things and people and finding where things are hidden or where people are hidden and, maybe doing violence to them. Looking at the starting builds, I'm leaning towards the Deathlands Ranger, just because of it's a bit more what I'm into, where, it seems to be a bit more about finding and scouting rather than just going and I shoot him with my gun very, very well.
There's a lot of, regardless of build and background, there's a lot of different options for kind of how you want your character to be. What about you, Jake?
I am going to go with the Leech, which is described as a saboteur and technician. So I'll be building things and breaking things.
Fantastic. Lonnie?
I am a cutter. I am a savage and dangerous fighter, which is totally out of character for me.
And Mare?
I will be playing the Spider, a devious mastermind. Big air quotes going around that one.
And Mike?
I'm going to play the Slide.
What?
I know, right? As was foretold.
Now, the next step is to choose a heritage. And there is a really solid world kind of built out in the books, but with plenty of gaps to fill in. I have asked my players for everyone to have the same heritage. I asked them all to be from the same Akros background because that's how they know each other. They're all from Duskvol. And so because this is a one shot, that's what we're going to do. The next step, third step, is to choose a background. And on the Blades in the Dark character sheet, there are some different backgrounds that are listed there. And so we'll just kind of go around and say the background of our character. So we'll go back to John. Your choices are academic, labor, law, trade, military, noble, and underworld.
I will go with military, given that he's a scout. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, that works. Next up is Jake.
I will be going with academic.
Good call for a leech. Lonnie.
My background is law.
Law, I love that. Mare.
If that's the case, then my background could be noble. if that works well within this.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I think especially for a spider. How about Mike?
My background is Underworld.
Fantastic. So our next step is to assign 4 action dots, and action dots dictate how many dice you get to roll when you make a roll. Now, there are 12 different skills in Blades in the Dark, some related to insight. Those are things like hunt, study, survey, and tinker. Things that are related more to prowess, like finesse, prowl, skirmish, and wreck. And things that are more related to resolve, like attuning, command, consort, and sway. And each character sheet, each playbook starts with 3 dots. You get to assign 4 more dots, and no skill can start with more than 2 dots. Now, you can still roll an action if it does not have any dots in it. The difference is if you have 1 dot, then you roll 1 die. If you have 0 dots, you roll 2 dice and take the lower. So there is a benefit to having a dot in that it doesn't put you at a disadvantage, but you can roll any of the skills. Just because you don't have a dot in it doesn't mean that you can't roll it. And then we'll kind of go around and maybe just talk about like what your character is probably going to specialize in.
Yeah, because I'm going off the build in the book of the Dusk Ranger. I've put my 4 points between 2 into attune. So I have 2 points in attune, 1 in prowl, and then I put an extra point into survey, which I had 1 in by default as a hound. So I'm very good at hunting, surveying, and attunement. And I'm also kind of okay at prowling.
I am going to put 2 in tinker, 1 in rec, and 1 in study.
I've decided to take a point each in hunt, survey, prowl, and wreck.
I have put a point because I had with the character sheet, it came with 2 in consort and 1 in study. So I spread them out, the 4 remaining across survey, finesse, prowl, and sway.
So I put points into survey, prowl, finesse, and consort.
So we're halfway done. It's only 8-step process. So we're halfway done. Step 5 is to choose a special ability on each character sheet. There are a number of special abilities available to our players, and through advancements, they can get more abilities, but everyone is going to pick a special ability to start with.
I have taken Scout, which gives me, whenever I am trying to gather information to locate a target, I get +1 effect. When I hide in preparation or use camouflage to make myself not blend in, I get another +1 die to rolls to avoid detection.
I was going back and forth between alchemist and artificer, but I think I'm going to go with artificer. And that gives me, anytime I invent or craft creation, I get a +1 result level to my roll.
I've chosen not to be trifled with, which allows me to perform feats that verge on the superhuman or engage a small gang on equal footing in close combat.
I am still kind of floating between foresight and mastermind. I may go with mastermind, where you can expend your special armor to protect a teammate or to push yourself when you gather information or work on a long-term project.
I am going with mesmerism. So when you sway someone, you may cause them to forget that it's happened until they interact with you next.
Our next step is to choose a close friend and a rival. And every character sheet has a list of 5 different people. And this is like one of my favorite parts because it means it's less NPCs that I have to come up with. And also means that everyone has at least 2 people that they can talk to. So there are a lot of pre-established connections with the world, which is something that I like because it gives the players more agency to do things. So everyone on your list, you can mark one who is a close friend and someone that is a rival, perhaps an enemy, scorned lover, betrayed partner, etc., by indicating the downward pointing triangle. And John, whenever you're ready, you can let us know who your friend and rival are.
Sure, my friend is Melvir, a physiker who has patched me up on more than one occasion. My rival is Casta, a bounty hunter, who, before I was a smuggler, I had a interesting little patch where we were partners and maybe more than partners, and then we fell out, and now that I've resorted to a life of crime, they're not super happy. They might have taken some of the things I did personally.
Okay, my first one is a Anton, who is a blue coat that I like to partake in various illicit substances with. So he's a good up and coming, upstanding blue coat. And my rival is Aldon, who is another artificer within the area here, and we were partners, study partners, for the longest time until we had a falling out.
As my personal friend, I've chosen Grace, an extortionist who I may have made sure that she avoided captivity in place of my own. And my enemy is Chael, a vicious thug who, while I was in jail, seemed to think he was my equal in anything, which is horribly wrong, and I keep proving him horribly wrong, and he doesn't like that.
So my close friend is Jenna, who is a servant, someone who I've grown up with, is kind of close with, was a retainer type. And if I'm in a position where I can't get too meddling and involved in things, Jenna comes and helps me out there. And as for my rival is Celia, an information broker who was one of the first people that I started learning about the game, about the grand ways of connecting and putting the dots together. And since then, they've seen me as a little bit more of a meddler and, okay, get out of here. Stop trying to play this game. It's not a game for us.
I have taken as a friend, Nirix, a prostitute, who assists me with the collection of many things in some of the darker spaces where she tends to work. And as my rival, I've taken Bazo Baz, who's a gang leader, who unfortunately, during the wrap up of one of our former operations, their house burned down, and they blame me for that.
So the next step in character creation is to choose your vice. Stress plays a big part in what you do as scoundrels. You'll often be pushing yourself beyond your limits or shrugging off negative consequences of your actions by taking stress. And the way that you reduce that is by indulging your vice during downtime. So everyone has to pick a preferred type of vice. I will kind of read off what our vice options are. One is faith. So dedicated to an unseen power, god, ancestor. Gambling, that's pretty straightforward. Games of chance or betting. Luxury is expensive or ostentatious displays of opulence. Obligation would be that your vice is your dedication and devotion to your family, a cause, an organization. Pleasure is gratification from lovers, food, drink, drugs, art, theater, any of those things. Stupor is that you seek oblivion in the abuse of drugs, drinking to excess, getting beaten to a pulp in the fighting pits. And weird is you experiment with strange essences, consort with rogue spirits, observe bizarre rituals or taboos, because ghosts and demons and vampires are real in the world of Blades in the Dark.
Given that one of my options later on is to have like spirit bullets, I was kind of like, how weird are we talking?
It's capital W weird.
Yeah. So like Weird Tales weird.
Is that the one you're taking, John?
No, I'm taking gambling. Because as I said, I gamble with my very good friend whose name I haven't forgotten, Melvir, the Physiker. We gamble on Fridays.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Jake, what's your vice?
It's pleasure, and it's going to be drugs and drink and sex.
The trifecta.
Yeah, the trifecta. And I have a purveyor in a bathhouse singer.
The best place for a purveyor of pleasure. Lonnie.
Yes, my pleasure is art. And when I say art, I mean specifically that I am funding a street artist by name of Donvan. But when I have him basically do his Banksy impersonation, I make sure he does it in all of the worst places that people will get hugely irritated at. So I can go look at it and feel great pleasure as they curse him out.
Fantastic. Mare.
My vice is going to be luxury, and I am a big fan of going shopping. So Aurea, a retailer, is someone where sometimes I go into there to do actual shopping and spend a lot of money, and sometimes I just like to touch the shiny, good-smelling things.
The more Mare describes this character, the more I feel like they're just slumming it with the rest of you.
But it's fun. It's fun. She's getting her kicks by being a bad girl. Papa will be so upset.
All my bad friends.
Oh my gosh, they're just my friends, Dad. You don't understand.
Mare's character definitely has daddy to bail her out. None of us have daddy at all. We just have daddy issues.
I almost looked at one of the special abilities that was like a jailbird, where it's like I just keep, like I can get out of jail easier.
Mare gets put in protective custody when in jail. Mike, what's your vice?
Yeah, so I was going to take luxury, but Mare went before me and took luxury. I'm going to take luxury anyway, but it's a totally different kind. Or totally different reason. So I indulge in a luxurious lifestyle with a lady named Miss Claremont. And the way I indulge it is by taking advantage of, her, we'll just say less than strict marital obligations.
And last but not least, for our character creation, you will need to record your name, alias, as a criminal, you have a nickname, and what your character looks like. And you may be thinking to yourself, but Miranda, we have all of these items on our sheet. How could this be the last thing that we're picking? Well, that's because in Blades in the Dark, all of the items that you have are kind of retroactively on your person. So when we begin a job, you will pick a load, whether it's light, normal, or heavy, which describes how well you have, how much you are deciding to have on your person. Obviously, there are benefits to a light load, such as being able to just move about easier and not be seen with things on your person. And there are benefits to a heavy load, which, maybe having more armor, but you would be more easily seen as having these things or being more encumbered. And then as we play, you have all of the items on your list available to you. But as we're playing, you may say, throwing knives would really come in handy right now. So for my 5 items that I get for a normal load, I'm going to check off throwing knives and I'm going to take them out of my pocket and chuck them at this blue coat that's following us. So now we have our name, alias, look, a brief description of our loads. Why don't we go around and we'll just kind of state those things, our name, alias, look, and then a 1-sentence summary of what we've come up with our character so far. So this will be, you're kind of summarizing who your character is for our listeners. So we'll start with John.
Yeah, my character's name is Morris. His alias is Musket. He is he's kind of a haggard middle-aged man. He wears tricorn hat. Might not be very fashionable anymore, but he still wears one. And has a big mustache that is not waxed. It's just like a Tom Selleck, that kind of big mustache. And he has a very well-worn field coat. It's not a trench coat, but it kind of goes down past middle of his thigh. And it's very clearly seen a lot of use and abuse, but is still in fairly good condition. Just, worn. Yeah, he is the hound for our group. His main thing is finding and checking out locations, scouting locations for where we're going to be passing through with our not entirely legitimate goods.
Fantastic. And Jake?
I am playing Christoph Wayland, and Christoph is a short, round little man with a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow and thick glasses. He wears aprons and lab coats and whatever else he seems to drag out of whatever pile of dirty laundry he has.
And Christoph is our leech of the group.
Yes.
Next up is Lonnie.
I am Gareth Davis, Garreth, and my alias is Strix, Strix. I am a hulking bald man in a pea jacket wearing a sailor's cap and ordinary breeches.
And Strix is our cutter of the group, so going to be more of the kind of brawly type.
Maybe.
Some good fighting in there, I think. Mare.
I'm playing Irina Baranov. She is a 19-year-old merchant's daughter. She has definitely got herself into this world through the connections made with her father. but also has 100% done the Disney princess thing of let me put on a hat and no one will know that I'm a fancy girl. And I just make my way out in there and make friends from all sorts. I'm very good at making friends. I've got auburn hair that's long and curly and a lot of freckles, which, if needing to seem like some scruffy street child, can just smudge some dirt on it. That tricks everyone.
And Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing Alistair Jin. His alias is Jin. So he is athletic and wears a hooded coat, some tailored slacks, and in general tries to keep his appearance at least becoming in case they get questions. He is the group's slide and conceals many a thing inside his coat.
Yeah, so that's it for Blades in the Dark character creation. We have our group of scoundrels together. Oh, there is one more thing that we generally do in character creation. I almost forgot. And that is to come up with our crew. Now, when I play games with friends, I let them pick what kind of crew they want to play, but you may have caught on to this a little bit. I've required this to be a group of smugglers because I've never run a smuggling group before, and I thought that would be a good time. And so our crew does need to pick some information for that as a group. And one of those things is what your crew's special ability is. And then also, what is your crew's reputation? Some options are ambitious, brutal, daring, honorable, professional, savvy, subtle, and strange.
I have a feeling strange is going to work really well for us, but maybe not.
I feel like we become strange no matter what we do.
We could have tried to start off as subtle, but I just don't see that lasting very long, personally.
Strange works for me. I like strange.
Just this bunch of fucking weirdos.
I mean, we're a bunch of strange bedfellows looking at the little blend we have here anyway.
No. It's not that we're strange. It's that the cargo we carry is strange.
We're perfectly normal.
And we kind of predetermined that the lair was some sort of houseboat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Does anyone have a preference for a special ability for your group?
So I kind of like renegades. Each PC may add +1 action rating to finesse, prowl, or skirmish.
Up to a max of 3. So it does allow you to push higher. Which I think for this, like for what we're going to be playing as part of this recorded game, I think that is a good option.
Yeah, right. Like we're semi-well established. We've been around the block. We don't necessarily follow the rules the other factions have set for us. And as such, we have a little bit more experience under our belt because we get ourselves into tough situations that we then have to get ourselves out of.
Yeah, my guess is that people hate us.
Sounds like renegades is a good choice. So I'm going to mark that. And then that will allow each of you to add +1 to either finesse, prowl, or skirmish. You can take another point on one of those. You also get 2 crew upgrades. So if anyone has an opinion on that, you can take those. At the top, I would say barge is, since that's what you guys want as your lair, I think barge automatically has to be one.
That's what we want, yeah.
I have a thought, right? So since I use a lot of daddy's money and since I use I have access to a lot of stores where maybe we could have like back orders and stuff, special orders and things. Would I be able to kind of use either through connections or that to like fence some of the things, like kind of as like a stopping place or like a quick hiding place? Like, I'm not sure, like camouflage, is that, or the smuggler's rigging? Like, what does smuggler's rigging actually do? 2 items carried are perfectly concealed. Like if they've got like property of...
So smuggler's rigging means on your person as a smuggler, 2 of your items are perfectly concealed, so no one's going to find them. Steady would mean that you get an extra stress box, and camouflage would mean that your home on the seas would be concealed when it's at rest. So if you're not moving, no one can see your hideout.
That sounds helpful, the camouflage one.
It does. I could see smuggler rigging being useful. I think it all depends on sort of how we want to spread the advantage, right?
Right.
If we're going to say that it's also camouflaged, then it makes a really great layer. I think of the two, if I'm looking at rigging versus camouflage, I'd rather go with rigging.
Personally, I'm inclined to agree, yeah.
Is if you get patted down, you can have things that are...
We can still go through.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. So smuggler's rigging.
It also lets us smuggle more weird small things. So it's like, yeah, I've got something in my pocket.
Yeah, or maybe a gun or a knife for you, John.
Any preference on a preferred contact or a close contact of the group? We have a dock worker, a drug dealer, an arms dealer, a spirit trafficker, an anarchist, and a tavern owner.
Dock worker makes some sense given that we've got a barge. But if we want to get ourselves further into town, I mean, everyone loves a good tavern owner.
The two that jump out to me are the spirit trafficker and the anarchist, partly because I find the idea of someone trafficking in spirits kind of funny. Like just as you can do that. Well, that's terrifying. Hope that doesn't happen to me when I die.
I do like the idea of the tavern owner. I think that is a good idea. Everybody needs
it's really stable.
A stable place where you could potentially operate out of in case there's an issue with the layer. And then I also like drug dealer because drug dealers know people and they know what people like.
And drug dealer would make a perfect entryway into exactly why no one likes us.
General consensus. Sounds like drug dealer or tavern owner.
I'll come down on tavern owner. You can meet a drug dealer in a tavern.
And people cannot like you in a tavern.
It's everything works out, but it's handy to have a friend who you can be like, hey, we kind of need to lay low.
I'm also giving you a +1 status with the Hive. The Hive is a faction of smugglers. Like, they do what you guys do, and the jobs that you have done have probably caught their attention a little bit since they smuggle and deal in contraband. So I think it'll be good to have a little bit of a relationship with them. This is a game of factions. I'm going to say that you have a negative status with the Bluecoats, which are the corrupt police of the city.
I can't believe that. This group of upstanding citizens.
But they've never been able to prove anything. That's the thing.
That's probably might be what irks them the most too, is no matter how many times they put Lark in prison, that little jailbird's always getting out. There's no keeping the wealthy down.
He's just unfairly persecuted by the Deepwater State.
So that will wrap up our character and crew creation for Blades in the Dark. And I hope that you join us next time when we find out the trouble that this crew has already gotten themselves into.